What's going on, guys? I'm Jay the Black. Shout out to everybody tuning in. I want to talk about this hip hop preacher by the name of Bishop Lamor Whitehead. He was live streaming, right? A lot of people been sending me this. He was live streaming and he ended up getting robbed live on live stream, man. I've never seen anything like this. This guy's in this church wearing all this jewelry, $400,000, I believe, worth of jewelry. Now, after thinking about it, I'm saying to myself, you know, the title of his stream or his sermon was "Get the Strap," only for the strap to be pulled on him. You see, I don't know much about him, but just looking at the flashiness and how he, you know, conducts himself, he dressed like a rapper who's going to an award show. Okay. Now, I'm not here to judge anybody, but to me, when you see guys like this, one thing comes to mind. He's a guy that uses he uses being a pastor in order to enrich himself and in order to have a certain type of lifestyle. Because if you look at this guy and how he, you know, conducts himself, I'm not saying that he's not a Christian or not a believer, but who wants to see a pastor dressed like this? Seriously. Now, again, you know, this day and age, things are very different. Things are very different. And for him to get robbed like this just shows that people have been looking at the lifestyle that he lives and how it's easy to access him. I don't know if they had any security in the building, but you can't be walking around New York City wearing all that jewelry with no security. And that's what he did. He was at this sermon, and I don't know again if he had security with him, but he must not have had that, because they just rolled in there with no resistance, and he immediately knew what was going on, and he gave up the jewelry. Okay, so let's get into this. I'm gonna let y'all see the video for yourself. All right. Play this.
What you about to go through. Yo. All right. All right. Yo, all right.
Those who know what they're doing, they're robbing him. They're taking his stuff from him. This guy's just sitting over in the corner, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just took off with his jewelry. He already knew what was up, man. Now, again, some people may look at this and they'll look at what he was speaking about in the sermon, and they will come to the conclusion that maybe this was staged. It better not be, because this thing is going viral. And if he's staging getting robbed, then that's not going to look good for him in this situation that this is going on. But let's see what this article has to say. A flashy Brooklyn bishop was robbed in the middle of his live streamed service on Sunday when a weapon-toting crooks accosted him at the podium before fleeing with $400,000 in jewelry. First off, what is it with black men flashing the money that they have? Unless you are a rapper and you have a certain lifestyle that you have to dress a certain way. I mean, you don't have to, but you know, it's part of the gig. You shouldn't be walking around, especially in New York City, where a lot of people are don't even know how they're gonna feed themselves, and then you're at this church that's very accessible, wearing $400,000 worth of jewelry. Like, what are you thinking? A Rolls Royce driving Bishop Lamor Whitehead last made news in May when he tried to negotiate the surrender of an accused subway shooter, but authorities separately nabbed the suspect. Let's see. On Sunday, Whitehead was in the middle of his sermon at the Leaders of Tomorrow International Ministries, Canarsie, around 11:14 a.m. when three masked men burst in, police said. How many of you have lost your faith because you saw somebody else pass? Whitehead asked his congregation right before spotting the intruders. All right, Whitehead then said several times before hitting the floor on his hands and knees. I wonder if he's been robbed before. Now, if all this checks out and he was indeed robbed, I wonder if this has happened to him before, because he knew the protocol. He wasn't about to sit there and argue with these dudes, wasn't about to fight these dudes. He knew the protocol. The men took $400,000 worth of jewelry from Whitehead, his wife, and possibly churchgoers, according to police. Whitehead, dressed in a maroon suit with gold-trimmed collar and sleeve cuffs, was wearing a long gold chain and a large ring on each finger at the time. The robbers fled east on Avenue D. After the crime, 2 months ago, Whitehead had said he was trying to negotiate the surrender of Andrew Abdullah, who was 25, in the fatal shooting of Goldman Sachs employee Daniel Enriquez aboard a Manhattan-bound Q train. Whitehead showed up in the 5th precinct in a Rolls Royce, supposedly usher in the surrender, but Abdullah was instead nabbed by cops at the Legal Aid Society offices in Manhattan. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. There's a lot going on here. Again, I don't know what it is about these new pastors. I spoke about the pastor in Oklahoma. He's a young, like, energetic, quote unquote, pastor who spat on his own brother's face to prove a point during his sermon. I don't know what's up with these new preachers. I don't know. They are out here trying to be rappers. Are they trying to be activists? Or are they trying to actually preach the word of God? But it's become a hustle. It's become a way to gain a lifestyle for yourself. If you're going to preach the word of God, at least do it and help people instead of yourself, because wearing $400,000 worth of jewelry, man, you could be feeding a whole lot of people who need it. I'm not saying he hasn't done it, but I'm not just talking about on Thanksgiving or Christmas. Okay. Now, he may have programs set up. Maybe y'all know more than me, but to me, he seems like a guy that likes the attention. He wants to be able to be seen. He's talking about helping negotiate the surrender of people, but the police like, nah, we good. Let me give you some more insight on the hip hop preacher. This is according to All Hip Hop. It's a flashy NY preacher recently linked to multiple A-list rappers, and Mayor Eric Adams was a victim of robbery during his Sunday sermon in East Flatbush Church, Leaders of Tomorrow, Brooklyn campus on July 24th. Just before the brazen attack, Bishop Lamor, how many of you have lost your faith because you saw someone else pass with what you were about to go through? At least 3 assailants interrupted the bishop's proclamation before weapons drawn, running up on him as the media team streamed the service live on Facebook around 11:14 a.m. The video was taken down. Dressed in a burgundy and gold suit, the clergyman, who also spoke at Biz Marquee and Black Rob's funerals, immediately takes to the floor at the sight of the armed men. He says, all right, as the first thug digs into his pockets and takes out wads of cash. He also takes the bishop's gold ring. The criminal dropped the ring and goes back to pick it up, the video showed. The second one then goes on stage setting pulpit and goes into the preacher's pockets again, seemingly looking for something. He leaves shortly after with nothing. So why did he go back? Did he think that something else was going to be in his pockets? Did someone tell him that he was going to have something in his pockets that wasn't there? That's interesting. The third guy, who was tall and thin, did not assault the preacher, but continued to tell the unwatching in-person congregation not to move. According to a police report, the thieves rolled out with $400,000 in jewelry. A man sitting in the back and on the side of the preacher never budged until the men left. I told y'all about the guy. He just sat there. He ain't moved an inch. Whitehead, a Brooklyn pastor who once was convicted of 2016 of fraudulent auto loan scheme where he was charged with identity theft and grand larceny, has turned his life around, now reformed, ordained, and consecrated as a bishop. He serves the people while driving a Rolls Royce and dripping in Fendi and other Italian designers. So this guy, just in 2016, was convicted of a auto loan scheme. So in, let's say, what, 5 or 6 years, he's turned his life around? Listen, he could have. I'm not saying he didn't, but his lifestyle must have upgraded from doing these schemes to now being a pastor. He is also good friends with Eric Adams, the second black mayor of the city of New York. Well, if that's the case, then he should be able to find who did this then. I was arrested at 15 years old, and because people embraced me when I was arrested, I embrace Lamor, the mayor said in 2016. I will continue to give him the support and guidance that was given to me to become a cop, a state senator, and a borough president. One way that he has shown he is reformed is by work with the next generation and helping them do better. He invests a lot of his time mentoring rappers and other influencers with their ears to the street, a community he believes the church has left behind. In December 2020, when Favio Farm did a toy drive for incarcerated children, he announced his bid for borough presidency in New York. That's just some insight into the background. Listen, a lot of times when we look at these situations, you know, it's easy to pass judgment, but I'm going to look at the fact that this guy was just recently in trouble in 2016. And maybe he did turn his life around. But the one thing a lot of you black men need to stop doing is wearing all this jewelry and trying to be flashy when you're probably in an impoverished neighborhood. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of that area, but the fact those dudes were able to just walk in there and do that, I'm assuming it's either in or near an impoverished neighborhood. I could be completely wrong. Why are you wearing all this jewelry? Bunch of money in your pocket. For what? And this is a pastor, okay? And we should hold our pastors to a higher esteem. But it doesn't mean that this guy should have been robbed. It doesn't mean that he should have been robbed. Let me say that again. It doesn't mean that he should have been robbed. But I'm just saying, for a lot of you guys' sake, because this could have went worse. I think the reason why it didn't go worse is because they were in a church. But it could have went worse. So hopefully, it's a good thing that he's okay, and hopefully they catch these guys. So let me know things in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts. Like this video and share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll see y'all next one.